I'm 30 and I'm posting because I genuinely feel like my brain is overheating. Everyone in my life keeps telling me, "You're not crazy." But the way two people I trusted have reacted lately makes me question my own reality. I'm going to keep this as clear as I can. I, 30F, have been with my boyfriend, Keon, 27M, for 5 years. And I've had the same best friend, Bryn, 30F, since university. Over a decade. Keon and Bryn know each other. We've all hung out. They're not strangers. Background. 2 years ago, I bought a small apartment. Then our new neighbor vandalized the building's plumbing during a dispute with the previous owner. Long story short, the place became unlivable and the legal situation has dragged on. So Keon and I have been staying with my mom in her 3-bedroom flat. My mom has been generous about it, but it's still limbo. Keon has always been messy. I don't mean leaves a mug out. I mean clothes on the floor, food wrappers temporarily on the counter, bathroom sink like a crime scene. In our first apartment, I asked him to clean up so many times that eventually I'd explode. He'd shut down and say I was nagging. I did not handle it perfectly. I raised my voice, but I also felt like I was always cleaning. After we moved into my mom started making gentle comments too. She's not mean, she's calm. If she is noticing, it's not in my head. Another layer, kids. Keon always said he wanted kids. I was unsure for a long time. Pregnancy scares me, and I have deep anxiety about being abandoned. My father cheated on my mom when she was pregnant and disappeared from my life. So I've always needed to feel safe before committing to that. Now to Bryn. Bryn got engaged almost 2 years ago. They set their wedding for this year. I was supposed to be her maid of honor. Bryn has always been intense about milestones. Once, years ago, I planned a birthday trip and she spiraled because my travel dates overlapped with a date that felt symbolic to her. We moved past it mostly. But I learned something important about Bryn. If she feels outshined, she doesn't say, "I'm sad." She says you hurt her on purpose. In early January, Keon and I decided to start trying for a baby. We're not teenagers. We've been together years, and my anxiety was finally manageable. Also, where we live now, reproductive health care access is complicated, so timing matters. Bryn knew we were planning to try soon. I found out I was pregnant, and I was happy. Terrified, but happy. I called Bryn because I thought that's what best friends do. The first thing she said wasn't congratulations. It was, "So when are you due, and will you still be pregnant at my wedding?" She immediately started listing wedding logistics, dress fittings, travel, how she doesn't want the day to become about a baby. I tried to reassure her. I said the due date would likely be before the wedding. I said we'd plan childcare. I said nothing changes. I found myself placating her like I'd done something wrong by having a life. After that call, she went cold for days. Bare minimum replies. Then she asked for a serious talk, and I spent an hour telling her I would absolutely be there. I even joked I'd wear postpartum pads under the dress if needed. The next day, on the anniversary of our friendship, she asked for another call. This time she wanted me to reassure her fiancé too. Basically, she wanted me to do emotional labor to calm his anxiety about my pregnancy. I said politely, I didn't think there was anything new to say. I'd already reassured her. He wasn't my best friend, and I was exhausted. That's when Bryn sent a message that made me go cold. She said Keon and I were selfish, that we didn't consider her wedding year, that I was manipulating her with guilt, that I love-bombed her by being overly sweet so she couldn't be upset. And then she said, "You always make yourself the victim, and I'm always the bad guy." I wrote back calmly. I said I wasn't trying to steal her year, that in your 30s, people's lives overlap, that I would never ask her to pause her life for my milestones, and that her reaction made me regret even telling her. 2 days later, I miscarried. Pain, blood, panic. At 4 a.m, shaking on the bathroom floor, I texted Bryn one sentence. "I think I'm miscarrying. I can't talk about it right now." She replied late the next day with a generic text. I didn't know what to say. If that's what's happening, I'm sorry. Then nothing. No follow-up. No check-in after my doctor confirmed it. She watched my story online where I mentioned it and still said nothing. After 2 weeks of silence, I sent one message. Your silence is hurt. I'm confused. I'm here when you're ready to talk. Within an hour, she blocked me everywhere. And then there's Keon. A month after the miscarriage, I asked Keon if we could talk about trying again someday, once my body recovered. He shrugged and said, I don't think I want kids anymore. Just like that. After years of saying he wanted them, I asked why. He said, because you're too stressful. You'd be a nightmare while pregnant. Then he added, and you're always angry about cleaning, so maybe you should just stay at your mom's forever. I told him that was cruel. He looked at me and said, I never said that. Then, when I repeated his words back to him, he said, you're twisting things. You're emotional. And suddenly I felt the same dizziness I'd felt with Bryn. That sense of being told my reality was incorrect. A week later, Keon got sick, vomited in the toilet, and left the mess. My mom finally snapped, politely but firmly, and asked him to clean. Keon stormed off, then sat down with his laptop and started browsing apartments. I thought, finally we'll move out. I came over with listings and said, I found a few places. He didn't even look. He said, no, you already have a room here. I'll find what I need. What do you mean? I asked. He said, it's fine. You wouldn't bother me if you were here. In that moment, something inside me went still, because it wasn't just messiness. It was a pattern. He cheats once, it was nothing. He changes his mind about kids. You're dramatic. He suggests we stop living together. You're overreacting. And every time I react like a normal human, he labels it as nagging, hysteria, manipulation. So here's my question. Am I being manipulated? Or am I actually the manipulative one and I'm too blind to see it? Because right now it feels like when I have feelings, I'm making it about me. When I set boundaries, I'm controlling. When I ask for basic respect, I'm nagging. And when I get hurt, I'm playing the victim. I'm exhausted. Update 1. 3 weeks later. A theme I couldn't ignore was this. If someone makes you prove your reality over and over, that's the point. So I stopped arguing. I stopped explaining. I started documenting, just enough to stay sane. Then I asked Keon one clear question. Do you want to live with me, build a future, and work on this? Or, do you want a girlfriend you can visit while you live like a single man? He stared at me and said, why do you always need labels? Then he added, you're so intense. I said, that's not an answer. He sighed and said, I just need space, which sounded like benefits without responsibility. So I told him he could find an apartment, but I wouldn't be moving with him unless we did couples therapy and he could commit to shared life, not shared convenience. Update 2. 1 year later. Bryn and I never spoke again. She got married. I didn't go. I still feel sad sometimes, but I no longer wonder if I did something unforgivable. I wonder what kind of friend demands your life stay small so hers can feel big. Keon moved out. For a while, he tried to keep dating without living together. I said no. I chose boring stability, therapy, sleep, peace. After Keon moved out, he tried a new tactic. He started showing up with flowers and takeout, acting like nothing had happened. He'd say, I miss you. And then 5 minutes later, he'd slide into, you've changed. You're colder. When I didn't melt, he told mutual friends I was going through something and pushing everyone away. He framed my boundaries as a mental health episode. That was the moment I stopped feeling conflicted and started feeling clear. Because if you can't respect someone's boundaries, the next best option is to discredit them. If you can make them look unstable, you don't have to look accountable. I also learned something about Bryn's narrative. A mutual acquaintance mentioned casually that Bryn had told people I tried to use my pregnancy to steal attention, and that my miscarriage story was dramatic and convenient. When I heard that, I didn't feel rage. I felt relief, because it confirmed what my gut had been whispering for months. They weren't misunderstanding me. They were rewriting me. And then something unexpected happened. I got pregnant again. This time with a slower heart, a calmer mind, and a doctor who took my anxiety seriously. I don't talk about it like it's guaranteed, but I do talk about it like I deserve hope. The biggest change is this. I stopped letting other people label my pain as manipulation. If someone needs you to be crazy so they can be right, they're not confused. They're invested. And I'm done being the person who pays for other people's comfort with my reality. This concludes today's story. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to support our work.